Now, Anna was just talking about this warning from the US president for the EU and Canada. Don't join forces against the United States in a trade war, whether deliberate or otherwise. In a post online, he said he threatened to slap far larger tariffs on both if they attempt to work together to do economic harm to the United States. But how you interpret that is going to be difficult, because the economic damage arguably is already there. Pierre Wunsch is with me, the Governor of the National Bank of Belgium. Good to see you, Governor. Thank you. How do we make sense of this? I mean, what do you believe? Obviously, the ECB is looking at it from a Eurozone area, but what do you see as being the effects of tariffs?
Well, it's going to be bad for the economy in the US, but also in Europe, that's for sure. You could argue that in Germany it's going to be compensated by the fiscal expansion that they've decided upon, and the orders of magnitude are more or less comparable. The big question for us is the impact on inflation. I tend to believe that at the end of the day it will push inflation upwards. Part of it depends on the reaction of the exchange rate, but it's...
Sorry, there's a lot there. Let's start unpacking that a bit. First of all, let's do the German bit. I mean, somewhat, if the tariffs... First of all, Germany's going to be clobbered most in terms of cars, correct?
And some countries in Eastern Europe that are part of the same value chain,
right?
Slovakia and others.
But it sort of will negate the supposed boost from the increased defence spending. One's not necessarily literally, but they are going to cancel each other out.
Roughly speaking, that would be my best guess, yes.
And then if you talk about inflation, if we know where the inflation is coming from, i.e. the tariffs, is that structural or cyclical, or how do you interpret that?
Well, we're still slightly above target, so we are in a position where if it lasts a bit longer and if we have some more push to inflation, it's difficult to navigate, because if the impact on the economy is negative, but the impact on inflation is on the higher side, then of course it's the worst case scenario for us.
Right, but is that the sort of inflation that you believe the ECB would need to contain, to bring down again? You can see where it's coming from and why it's there. It's not quite the same of demand-led inflation, I guess. Oh, maybe I'm just being naive.
No, it's not, and the economy is relatively weak, so I guess at the end of the day we are going to have to find a way in between the negative impact on growth and the potentially positive impact on inflation. We'll manage. We've been there before, but it's not an ideal position to be in.
Here in Belgium and in the Eurozone, do you think you're looking at stagflation?
At the margin, it's going to push inflation up and growth down. Whether it's going to bring us to a recession, I don't believe so. I think we have enough momentum, and again with the fiscal expansion in Germany, but in other parts of Europe as well, I think we can manage.
This is a sort of I guess this is more of a touchy-feely type question, which you don't often ask central bankers. But are you frustrated by what's happening? Because it seems to be unnecessary. This is entirely self-inflicted from the United States on Europe.
I mean, let me put it this way. I studied in the US, and when I see what's going on and the way the relationship between the US and Europe is evolving, yes, I'm a bit frustrated as an economist, because at the end of the day, that's my job. Yeah, it's a lose-lose. It's a lose-lose, and that's also frustrating.
But what can you do for Belgium, in a sense? Bearing in mind monetaries over in Frankfurt, what can you do to help mitigate the worst effects of this, if anything? Or is it just hold your nose and swim?
That's part of the answer. We also need some structural reforms, and actually we have a new government and they've decided on some structural reforms of the labour market. So part of the pressure is having a positive impact on Europe. Sometimes we need a little bit of that, but it's a little bit too much in this case.
I'm very grateful that you came to see us, sir. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Indeed. Lovely to be here in Belgium.